Welcome to week 90, county week 90 of Shark Sports Radio. Alongside of me tonight is nobody. It's okay. It's yours truly, Mark Loisel Jr., aka Shark, right here in the Ocean State. Giffy and Bobby are with the kids this week, and that's okay. We're going to be covering all facets of football. It's funny. Somebody, asked me this week, what would they compare the start of the football season to? And it was more like Christmas. You set your fantasy lineups the night before. You get the food out. And you have a good time during the games. Watch the games live. You can always tune in using your Apple Podcast, SoundCloud, and or Spotify app. Check us out on YouTube at the Shark Sports Radio channel. You can always check us out on X at SSR34 _ TikTok at Shark Sports Radio. So, with that being said, tonight we will get into a very brief breakdown of the matchups this week. Week 1 is here, and it's alive and well. Last night, as you can imagine, with the Ravens and the Chiefs, we saw the results, and what the results were a shame for the people that actually bet on that game. The spread was 1.5, and that game went to 27-20 at the end of the final seconds. Like, you're talking seconds. Like, like Isaiah Likely was at the back of the end zone, and I swear to you, I think his cleats touched down first, meaning his studs of his cleats. I think they actually dropped first, and then obviously the toe followed. So if you look at it from a tiptoe type of perspective, was he on the line? Sure. Get that game into overtime. It's opening night. Find a way to figure it out. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs got their rings. At the end of the day, you kind of have to work out the ratings wise with the NFL and officials. I don't think they were, honed in on that. So kind of got to just play it out, right? And I know Harbaugh was thinking for going for 2 as he threw up the 2 signs. So who knows if they were even going to, kick a field goal at the end of that. If anything, I think they were going to, go for a touchdown, obviously, and then get the field goal. So obviously, last night happened. Friday, new day, new game, new venue. They're actually in Brazil. It's the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles are the home team. That kicks off at 8. We will get into these matchups and we will break it down briefly. The betting odds are from ESPN Bet. There are significant amount of prop projections that you can make throughout, this week and tonight in general. So let's get into Friday, September 6th today. We got the Packers and the Eagles. And I was actually talking to one of my colleagues today, and I was trying to figure out the best way to describe this game. And I think like the NFL did a great job of putting these two teams together because I actually think this might be one of the best games of the year, even though last night's game was tremendous. I think that this game could actually be a shootout. When you think of, the Eagles and the way that they're built, obviously we all know that they lost a lot of defensive parts, right? But they also acquired a lot of offensive parts. And what I mean by offensive parts is a guy like Saquon Barkley. And if Saquon Barkley can be the Barkley of old, right? And I know that's that's a long story, but he did have a decent year last year. I think he had around 1,300 all-purpose yards and several touchdowns. So, like, if you look at Barkley and his capability in the passing game and running game, he's going to balance that attack out perfectly. And Jalen Hurts doesn't have to worry about being one dimensional, right? He can be a threat in the running game and the passing game, just like Saquon can be. Like, they're a perfect tandem. Just like you saw last night with the Ravens, with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry, yes, he didn't have the best game, but I think it took a little bit of weight off Lamar, and they could, have a little dynamic going in that running game, and they could oppose a threat to the defenses, and that's all you ask for. If you're having that type of running performance, that's all you can ask for. So I do like the Eagles in this one. I am a big fan of Jordan Love. Don't get it twisted. I think Jordan Love's going to be a hell of a player moving forward into this season, but it's a tough, tall task. The Philadelphia Eagles are determined to find ourselves back into the NFC Championship realm of things. So, the spread right now, I believe it's 2.5, right, in favor of the Eagles. And I'm riding that. I really think the Philadelphia Eagles will find a way to make things happen. And defense wise, like, don't worry about it. Like, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, like, those guys are specimens. They're gonna find a way to make things happen. Cause a lot of different schemes for Josh Jacobs and Jordan Love and his weapons with Jaron Reed and Christian Watson and a bunch of the other guys. So like I look Romeo Dobbs. But I really like Philadelphia tonight. And in Brazil, I know people are always like, well, they're in a different, area of the world. How are they going to do with the time difference? I looked at it the other night. It's a 2 hour time difference, so it's not like a substantial time difference. But there are a little bit of kinks along the way, and they'll find a way to make things happen. So I got the Eagles. I think Nick Sirianni is going to have a day with Jalen Hurts running that show. Moving on, first matchup for Sunday. Again, Pittsburgh and Atlanta. So Atlanta's favored by 3.5. Again, these odds are brought to you by ESPN Bet. Pittsburgh's in a tough situation right now. They have two quarterbacks that are mediocre at best. Let's just be real. And I think right now Russell Wilson's lingering a calf injury. So they have Justin Fields coming out on all cylinders. I think it's gonna be a wash. I really think that the Atlanta Falcons will find a way to make things happen on the running game. And yes, I know Cam Hayward signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers this week, to a long-term deal. Congratulations to him, but he's gonna have an eye opener with Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is a feisty second-year running back. I think he could actually have a second-year type with similar to Zeke Elliott. I think people are overlooking his capability in the passing game. I overlooked him in the draft just because I can't really trust the Atlanta Falcons until I see it. And so I just think that Bijan right now has to prove that he can do it. But his talent is real. His stats at Texas were insane. The way he was running the ball, creating a lot of different ways, opportunities for himself, whether that was goal line situations, third downs, or being a third down back, right, or first down, second down, third down back. So I look at it as a Bijan Robinson type of game. He's gonna have to help and protect Kirk Cousins because Steelers do have a pretty good defense. Last year they struggled a little bit, but I think they pick it up, especially with they do have a tough schedule. Absolutely have a tough schedule, but I think that they find a way to be in the middle of the pack defensively. But Kirk Cousins is going to have to prove that Drake London is a real deal. So Drake London, we all know his catch radius. It wasn't great. Catching percentage is like 60, below 60 last year. And I understand Desmond Ridder was throwing the football to him, and they had Taylor Heineke and so on. But I just can't decide whether to believe in Drake London as being a number one wide receiver. And I think there's a lot to prove with him. I really do. And Darnell Mooney's going to have to show. They did add Matt Judon. He's going to be a force in that defense. He's going to bring a lot of light to that defense. And I really think that, what they acquired this offseason as far as talent goes, as far as, gathering Kirk Cousins, yeah, they stumped their foot on, making a draft pick. They went, Michael Penix, with the, I think, number 8th pick. But really, I really like Atlanta. Again, that it's going to be a prove it year. I actually have them as like a top 12 defense this year. So I really think that the Atlanta Falcons can really bring it. And it's going to be a good test for them going up against a very versatile Justin Fields. But again, I don't think Justin Fields stands a chance. Moving on, Arizona at Buffalo. This is an easy one for me. I do see the over under at 48.5. I can imagine the reason why is because Kyler Murray, throws the rock at a high clip, and you got James Conner at the goal line. But this is an easy decision for me. I know Buffalo's going to struggle this year, but this is a game where they don't. They're at home. They have a 6.5 point differential. So I really like Buffalo in this. I don't really think I need to waste too much time. I think Josh Allen's gonna be very, very possessional, like play possessional football, where he's not going to be, turning over the ball left and right. He is going to have to get acclimated with his wide receivers pretty quickly. James Cook's going to have to run the ball. I can see him running around 65 to 70 yards per game. I don't really think he's that great of a back. I got to see more out of him. Obviously, with being 1 year into the system with the Bills last year, so um, and their defense has a lot of holes, right? But I just think Arizona is going to have a tough time. And I got the over, and I think that Buffalo covers that spread. Tennessee at Chicago. This is not a hard one. I do look at it as a possible trap game to start the year. I do have Chicago at 10 or 11 wins this year. But when you look at Tennessee, they have Will Levis right now in the mix, right? With Tony Powell in the backfield, Tajay Spears. And then they have Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd. They got a lot of mix in that offense. And I don't know if Will Levis is a guy that will exceed the expectations. I think he'll be, average quarterback. I think I rank him around the 17th mark. I think he's well thought of when it comes to, pro football, type of rankings, longevity wise. But right now, in the short term, I think Caleb Williams will perform at a high level. And I said this on multiple podcasts. I believe it. I'll keep saying it. I think that there's so much opportunity weapons wise with him that it's hard to decide whether he's going to be extremely bad or extremely good. And I think he's above average quarterback this year, really do. When you think of Keenan Allen, when you think of drafting Roma Dunze, when you have a guy like DJ Moore that you traded for, obviously with the first pick in the draft in previous years, I kind of look at it as a bright spot for Chicago. And everyone on TikTok, Twitter, I see it all the time. They don't believe that Chicago's Bear defense is going to be, bad. I actually have them pretty low. They're not as like good as people think on paper. Yes, they stop the run, but they suck on third down. They are awful in allowing points per game. I think they're around 23 points per game last year. They have Montez Sweat. I get it, but like one guy doesn't just do it for me. So I really think that the Chicago Bears will win this game against the Tennessee Titans and cover the line, which is at 4.